Here's a clip from the Southwestern Lead app.
One of the topics that I am super passionate about, I've been learning a ton over the last few years really, is emotional intelligence. And I guess I was thinking, when I first heard about emotional intelligence, like the stuff I was branching into, new stuff, I was like, well, I'm pretty much the most emotionally intelligent person I know. And I think it makes sense because, if you're selling for a living, that's kind of what you have to be good at, right? And so I'm thinking, you guys are probably like, yeah, that's me. I'm the most emotionally intelligent person that I know. So let's just all say that if I was getting excited about it, there's a chance you might get excited about it, even though you probably are an expert or on your way to becoming an expert. So, but here's kind of the reason why. What I noticed is that the model of emotional intelligence that I learned through my book selling days and after, that model works really, really well. And I'm discovering that there's more to it. Let me break it down for you guys this way. When I was 18, and I'm learning about selling books door to door for the very first time, there were some things that just blew my mind, right? Like, when you guys are selling anything, there's a point where somebody came alongside you and said, you really need to pay attention to the messaging that you're telling yourself. And you're like, what's that all about? What I learned my first summer of selling books was that if I was in extreme discomfort, I had a high capacity to lie to myself in such a convincing way that I could mistake those lies for truth, right? This is just kind of the way we're built. That I'm feeling like, gosh, all my friends are having so much more fun than I am. When it's like, last summer I was home and it sucked. Well, those things aren't true, but I believe it because I'm uncomfortable with selling 80 hours a week door to door, okay? What helped me at that time was to go, you know what, self-talk is pretty important. If I can override the stories that naturally come up due to my emotions, then I can be master of my emotions. Which kind of looked a lot like me between houses, just going, I love my job, I love my job, I love books, I love people, I love my job, I love my job. If I could just control the narrative, nothing else could kind of sneak in there. That might disrupt my plans, affect my goals, things like that. So what I realized a few years ago is that model that I was kind of delving in when I was 18, has kind of stayed the model that I've been working with. It's probably a little more evolved than just I love my job, but it wasn't very complete. It wasn't as healthy as it could be. So that's where I started to learn some new stuff, and I'm like, this is what I want to share with you guys. The way that I was managing my emotions when I was selling books, it was more like I was actually just treating emotions like they are symptoms. Right? So like when you have a cold and you have a runny nose, you take medicine to deal with the runny nose. Okay? I was dealing with my emotions like they were symptoms. I wasn't really processing the actual emotions. And so it's kind of like what I learned then was almost like sugar. It worked in a pinch, right? So like if you're tired, and you take some sugar, you're gonna get some energy and some mental clarity that's gonna help you get your job done, okay? That's kind of what I was functioning with. Eventually, as a person, you need nutrients. I think processing emotions properly is like giving your body that nutrients that it needs. Okay. I'm gonna propose this idea. We get very focused on using language such as positive emotions or negative emotions, right? Good emotions, bad emotions. If I can hang on to good emotions, it helps me get my job done. If I have bad emotions or negative emotions, I kind of have to find a workaround. Here's what I'll propose to you. Let's say that those emotions are neither positive nor negative. Let's say that those emotions are not good or bad. Let's say that those emotions are simply information. And it's information that if we're thinking about it properly, we can help ourselves process that information to help us take proper action to be more successful with what we're trying to do, okay? That also works for the people that we're trying to lead. If we can understand their emotions as information, it'll help us lead them better because we can care for them better. And here's something I will tell you. When you care for someone's emotions, that feels like love. You can help people be successful and do better and make more money and accomplish their goals and things like that. That's actually super, super valuable and helpful. If you can do it and they feel loved at the same time, it's a total different thing. What are the things that you just are feeling? What's really crazy is how hard it was for our salespeople to step into this world. They're like, I don't know, good? I'm pumped, I guess. Like they didn't have a vocabulary for it. They were afraid to even really go there. So this is in all of our workbooks when we're going to have a meeting, because that's how we're going to start. What you'll see people do is now that they're learning it and getting a little more comfortable, they'll really sit there and look, and you can see just like over a minute, people will go, huh, what am I feeling? What am I feeling? And they'll look through, and all of a sudden they'll go, that's the word. Special events, I just ran a leadership meeting, so I had my top 6 people up to my house. People flew in for it, it was a big deal. It was going to be dinner at my house, but 4 hours of a meeting before that. And we dedicated the first hour to fully doing this and sharing it as a group. The first hour. Because we really wanted to let people, I mean, we hadn't seen each other for 6 months, so we really needed to be able to connect and understand where are we at, how are we doing. So here's what happened. The first person, tell me how you might feel if you're running a meeting, and we go, okay, does anybody want to share with the group where you're at? And the first person says, edgy. I'm definitely feeling edgy. I'm annoyed. I'm really insecure. I'm really, thankful to be with you all. And blah, 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 a couple other things. Okay, the first person starts off with edgy and annoyed. Okay, now you could see that tendency to go, well, this is going to get out of control any second, right? She had fully expressed the way that she felt. I'll come back to the results of that. The next person went, and she was like, I'm embarrassed. She starts naming a few other emotions, but started off on that side of the spectrum, shall we say. The next person came to the meeting almost in tears, and she goes, I'm not ready to go, like, just come back to me. We come around to another guy, and he goes, well, I'm not really sure how much I can say, because I might lose it. So we're getting off to a great start, right? Here's what ended up happening. The first person who started off edgy, when she was able to express why she was feeling that way, one of the things that became clear is that she said, I am in an operations role, and I want to help you guys succeed, and I want to help this company succeed. There's nothing I can do to drive success. I'm in a complete reactionary position, and that's what's making me so on edge. I want to help, and I can't do anything to push momentum. That was her take. And so we said, hey, do you have any needs around that? Like, any thoughts? She goes, well, I'd love some suggestions. If anybody has any suggestions. 3 hands went up. And they were able to have a quick conversation. The next day, met together in person. Now she has a whole new job task that she's developing for the entire company. Just out of an emotional check-in. The emotion led to information, right? The emotion was information that led us into a course of action to fulfill a need that she had. the person who said, I don't know how much I can say without losing it. We were like, that's okay. Maybe if you want to lose it, you can lose it. We got the tissues. And he said, yeah, I feel like last year I had to work so hard to try to stay in my house, to try to get the mortgage, to try to do all this stuff. I learned I had to work beyond what I ever thought I would have to work. And now we're expecting our second child, and the finances are good, and I'm doing well, and I just realized I think I'm now addicted to my work. It's become a hiding spot for me. And I don't want to be this kind of dad. I'm working instead of putting my daughter to bed. And I know I could easily turn off my work and go do that. I'm just not doing it. And I don't want to be this person. So what came of that is he circled back around to me, and we had a conversation around that. And I'm happy to report last Friday, he and his wife went out to dinner. They had blocked 4 hours for dinner and a conversation around the kinds of parents they want to be, the kind of spouse that they want to be. And he had to confess to her that I think I'm kind of addicted to this work thing. And he said, you know, she was like, the reason it hasn't bothered me is because my dad was like that. I kind of am okay with living a life like this. But he's like, but I don't want to be that. And I need your help to not be that. I mean, that came from an emotional check-in. The girl who came in, who was almost in tears, we were like, hey, if you're ready. So she starts to go into her thing, and she's like, I just found out as I was getting here, one of my best friend's dad has COVID. He's on a ventilator in a hospital. And this is really not the meeting I want to be in right now. And I don't even know if I can focus or be a part of this. And we all just sat there, and we waited. And she named out some more emotions, and she talked about it. And then she was just like, took a big, deep breath. And I said, hey, if you actually need to leave, if this is not the place for you, it's okay. You can. Like, if you need to go, you can go. It'll be fine. And she's like, I'll think about it. So we kept going around the group, and different people shared. And when we were done, she was like, man, she's like, I'm fine. That felt so good. She's like, I just can feel it's just kind of worked its way through. And then one of the other people said, man, Ryan, when you were saying your thing about, he's like, I feel like I worked through that while you were talking about it. So when you think about the good stuff that came out of that 1 hour emotional check-in, it's huge for what we learned, but it's also huge for how we bonded in that experience. Because we gave emotion a proper process to be processed, right? As opposed to what scared us before, it's all bottled up, we don't know how to manage it, so we just push it away or get rid of it. And we're missing major pieces of information that could be helpful. Just going back to, you guys are hearing some of their most private thoughts that they don't share with other people. This is like amazing role that you have to play. But if you implement this, they're going to feel loved by you, and there are all kinds of really great things that can impact the world, right? So that's all I got for you guys. Thanks so much. I hope it's helpful.
Southwestern Lead is an international leadership program that helps you build skills, gain confidence, and discover new opportunities. With professional coaching, a world-class digital learning platform, and certifications that will enhance your resume or application, Lead sets you apart. We'll show you how to turn success principles into success habits through small group training, one-on-one coaching, and guided action plans to help you apply what you're learning. It takes more than academics to reach your goals. See what one of America's oldest leadership training programs can do for you. Visit southwesternlead.com.